Hi everyone, my name is Alex Porcelain and I'm here to present my final project on using Amazon Macie to protect sensitive information in AWS. Amazon Macie is a service which was launched in 2017 and it leverages a lot of deep learning and machine learning algorithms to detect and classify sensitive information sitting in S3 buckets and then iterate off of its learnings about what normal data to be in an S3 bucket is, as well as iterate on the activities and actions taken on an API level on all those objects. The reason this is important to me is because I work in information security at a bank, and there are a lot of regulations which apply to how we need to treat our customer information and even our sensitive proprietary information in terms of adding security controls like access control, seeing who can access what, encryption, and data deletion when it's no longer required. These requirements come from new regulations as well as old ones. So we have GDPR in the EU. We have the PCI DSS, the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standards. We have the New York Department of Financial Services Cybersecurity Standards. All these regulations and rules dictate how customer information and sensitive information needs to be treated. And there's really no way to do that unless you have a real inventory of where that data is and have a good grasp of where that data is being stored and who's accessing it and what changes are happening. I'm going to jump straight into Macie with the assumption that I already set up some S3 buckets based on what we learned earlier in class and filled those in with some sensitive information. I think it's pretty interesting how I generated that mock sensitive data, but I'm not going to have time to go through that in this part of the presentation. So if you'd like to hear more about that, please let me know and I can send you the longer video. Macie is pretty cool because it has a lot of interesting and useful dashboards for a working environment, which already has S3 on it. Again, Macie detects a number of things. Macie detects what data is in your S3 buckets, and then it classifies, tracks, and using CloudTrail and CloudWatch, alerts you on what information was accessed by who and whether that was considered normal behavior, normal business activity, or whether that would be considered anomalous. So you have all these dashboards which display information about the data type. So this one is S3 objects above a certain risk level for a certain type. So you'll see CloudTrail logs, secret keys, private keys, etc. One of the dashboards that I find most interesting is S3 public objects and buckets. So, S3 objects by PII. This shows me all the PII, personally identifiable information classifications in my S3 objects. Shows me how many have no PII, how many objects are low, moderate, or what they consider high. So a good use case here is if something was tracked and found to be a credit card number, which I'll explain how Macie categorizes that and how you can customize what it tracks a little bit later. If they notice a credit card number, I can drill into it and click that button and it'll show me on the research tab, which researches everything in your buckets, how many over time, which credit card numbers were added, how many of them there are, which account is adding them. I only have one account, who owns that bucket, who generated it, etc. And then it'll also list in an exportable format each instance of finding a credit card number. So you can do a remediation activity and say, hey, these aren't supposed to be here. Let's delete them. If I also don't like credit card numbers in my bucket at all, let's say it's not intended for that purpose, or I decide I can't have them anymore, I can save this query as an alert. And every time a bucket is added, an alert will come up in the alerts dashboard, which I'll go to now. So you'll see here the alert that I configured against credit card numbers is here. Wow, it's a high alert. I configured it to be a high alert. This can integrate with other alerting systems like SNS, and I can push out an alert however you want. But I can open this alert and it'll have a customized message here saying, we have found a credit card number in an S3 bucket. This puts our company at risk for PCI compliance. Please fix immediately. And it'll show the CloudTrail events and that were triggered that caused this to actually take place. The most interesting thing, which I was actually a little disappointed on, is two things. One, Amazon Macie only looks at S3 buckets. It's not usable with DynamoDB or any other storage systems. The other thing is the way you classify the data or the actual events that are taking place on the data, while you can turn on or off events around content type, file extension, theme, or regular expression, you can't create your own and you can't change the risk level that Amazon Macie associates with that. So if in my environment having a Dropbox link is really, really sensitive, Amazon will tell me that, it's a 3. It can only be a 3 alert. It can't out of 10. It can't be a 9. So that's an interesting limitation, but I still think this is a super, super interesting service, and I'm very happy that it's very easy to configure and easy for organizations to use. Just perhaps the level of customization is not exactly what a large organization would need at this time. So if you want to hear more about Macy, feel free to talk to me about it. I'm happy to tell you more. Thanks, and add me on LinkedIn.